Right, Mr. Clark, apologies for absence, please.
Thank you, Chairman. We've had apologies from Martin Dudley, Tom Slade, Virginia Rounding and Alison Moss.
Thank you very much.
Are there any declarations members wish to make?
The usual one, Gareth. Thank you. Right, now the minutes of our last meeting then, that was on the 11th of July. We've all had a chance to read them. And I beg your pardon.
I was present at that meeting, but I'm
Oh.
not recorded.
You weren't listed. No, we'll change that then. Anne was present. Thank you. Right. So just first of all for not matters arising, but just corrections. Anybody spotted anything that they feel should be put in a little bit or no? So the minutes are agreed. So we come to matters arising, and on page 2, item 4, that was just the registration of yet another little health committee which we are obliged to have. And I understand it doesn't meet too regularly, but that when it did meet, Mrs. Mead was appointed the chairman. So we've got that in hand if topics come up that have to be referred to it. Now, you'll recall yesterday, Reverend Campbell Taylor asking a question. Jackie Campbell, this is 8. This is item 8, and Jackie Campbell's just going to say a word about it.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Just to confirm that we are putting together a response for the member, and we'll be providing that to you either today or on Monday.
Yes, thank you very much. Right, sorry.
To all members, we'd all like to see the
Is
response.
that right?
Thank you.
All right. Right, number 9, I think Karen wanted to say something about the concrete testing. Oh, she's at that end, yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, just to add that following a number of discussions and the work that we do with the Project Subcommittee, we are actually combining the works that we're doing on the concrete testing. So when we go out to procurement, that will be a joint procurement, although we'll be looking at the work in potentially 3 lots. And obviously we're concerned that we don't hold up works as a result of that, but we are working and bringing that work together. Thank you.
Chairman, can I use that opportunity to thank Mrs. Littertron for suggesting that?
Thank you. Yes? Sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. On that item, on page 4, the top paragraph, the Officers Shoulder Committee, and it goes on to say that they would be inviting leaseholders to meetings to have the explanations. I have spoken to a number of leaseholders on Middlesex Street who are not clear about what is happening, nor are they clear about what they are paying for immediately on their service charge, nor what they are likely to have to pay in the future. So I just wanted to give a comment on how that consultation is going, please, Chairman.
Right. Have we got dates for these meetings?
Chairman, we haven't actually set dates yet because we're in early consultation phases through the formal Section 20 consultation. We have actually advised residents at Middlesex Street that there will be nothing happening until next year. When we have more information, the approach that we've taken on Barbican will be applied to both Middlesex Street and also Golden Lane Estate. And this will include actually detailed information about what works are to be done, when they will be carried out, which blocks will be affected, and so there'll be a lot of information at that time.
But I'm sure you know members like tenants, leaseholders to be informed about things as early as possible, because they do worry and gossip gets around and people get into a flat. Okay then, so we hope to do that as soon as possible. Any other matters arising? Mr. Fraser?
Just comment on item 11, the London Youth Games.
Yes.
And advise the committee that I've now taken on the role that you previously had on the board of London Youth Games. And last night they had a fantastic dinner at an awards dinner, Barton Beatty awards dinner at Valentine-Swords. And City of London were mentioned as being a big supporter, and Hackney, the borough of Hackney, were given an award for the most improved borough performing in the games. And in the video that they had, it showed the pupils from Hackney Academy playing handball.
Jolly good. Thank you for that. Yes. we've had a long-term interest in that even from the days of FITS.
Thank you, Chairman. Item 11 regarding Jerry Lockram. When would we get the opportunity to invite our new head teacher, Tim Wilson, to the committee? Thank you, Chairman.
Well, the Chairman of Governors, the Reverend Laura Jorgensen, she's going to bring him to see me first, and then at that point I'll tell him the dates of our meetings and see if he could come to them. Probably when she's coming to a meeting, she can bring him along. There isn't a great deal, I don't think, on the school today, is there? Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. Yes, we make a note of that. Right, anything else then arising from the minutes? No. Thank you very much. On then to item 4, for which there isn't a paper, because we've got someone from Waits Living Space, Phil Sperring, who's going to tell us about the work in hand, and then there will be a chance for questions. Phil, welcome. Thank you very much. Switch your microphone on. That's it, and then...
Thank you. Good morning. This is a little more than I was expecting, more than the 4 people I was told, so excuse me if I appear a little nervous. Very quickly, I'm Phil Sperring, I'm a Director of Strategy. I've been at Waits 35 years, and I'll take questions on that later if you want, but I'd rather get on with this stuff that we're about that I hope you'll find a lot more interesting. Well, we are very much a family firm. We're some 117 years. We're London based. Our head office is in Leatherhead. The first generation started at the turn of the century. The second generation built houses between the wars. Third generation built houses after the wars. Fourth generation has taken us into general contracting. And the fifth generation, not the photos there, are actually integrating now into the family business for the future. We do roughly £1 billion turnover, some 450 million in construction, which is schools, prisons, etc. Some 350 to 400 million in what you would call housing, which is largely maintenance with some new build. We have a retail and interiors division, which works in the high streets. You'll probably see us around John Lewis, etc. We also have a development arm and a small company called Need Space, which is light industrial lease and rent. I work in London. We're servicing properties at this moment, some 2,800 properties. We do the major and minor voids works to get them back into circulation. It's roughly 1.3 million a year turnover to us. Our staff and our technicians are all directly employed and work 100% of their time on the City of London operations. And we also support our work, we work in the civic buildings where possible. The graphic there, we're very keen on performance indicators. It's an ubiquitous measurement of how we're performing, and it's our key to how we can improve our service. Once we started the works here in London, there was some issues around getting the voids turned around. Obviously the voids come around quickly, more people get into homes, it reduces our time, and it's a win-win situation. So we worked quite hard at bringing some not new, but innovations into the process to ensure that we've reduced the time from the days that we were taking originally or that were being taken to reduce. That seems to be a floating figure as we're improving, so my apologies that the days aren't actually cited as part of the data. The team that was originally here and is now sort of morphing to improve, Graham was the Managing Director of our response maintenance business. Martin is the Operations Director of the work here in London, whilst the guy, Philip Soka, is our man who's permanently here, who is ultimately responsible for the delivery of the service, and Ross is the guy that I'm replacing because he's got on holiday. Right. Probably the difference, one of our differences, our operatives are what you might call staff paid. They're treated like staff, but they are incentivised through customer care or customer satisfaction results and through quality. We measure that on a performance basis, so if we achieve a high level of customer satisfaction and quality, happy days. If not, then there's a system of performance management that's not penalised through their return, but they're measured on those satisfaction levels. In terms of the Waits group, the generations each have a different legacy. The third generation was Waits Foundations, the new generation is Waits Giving. The work that we do in different communities varies. Where it's given, we'll give to various charities within the locale. But our Reshaping Tomorrow is where we bring, on a day-to-day basis, employment opportunities, sustainability work, work in the community, a whole variety of things. Community Day, the whole company goes away on like a day and does work in the community. A history of things that we do on a day-to-day basis, which is separate to the legacy of the family. The example in the top corner is an example that we've done in the City of London recently. Finally, we are a people business. The family ethos is intrinsic in the way that we operate, top to bottom. We realise that the business we operate in, our clients have constraints imposed upon us, so we need to be flexible and we need to be able to service that reliably. But, as I was saying to Karen earlier, I work with the Housing Forum, we sponsor TPAS. We're always trying to work with bodies that will enhance our performance so that we can create a better service. It makes sense. And those are just logos of the people that we operate with. That should have been around 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Phil. Are there any questions? It's always good to hear more about the people who support us in various spheres of our work. But any questions on that? No?
Chairman,
Sorry, yes. No?
sorry, Chairman, I was just going to ask about employment for local city people. Thank you, Chairman.
Do you have city people employed in your outfit?
The people that we have employed will all be directly employed by Waits. Where they actually live at this moment, I'm not sure, but they will be within the locale. They will be within travelling distance. There will be nobody that's from outside the area. It makes no sense. People that work on the patch know the patch, know the people.
Right. Yes, Don?
Do you run an apprenticeship scheme?
We have various schemes. We have what's called WATA, which is the Waits Apprentice Training Academy, which we run with a company called K10. They actually bring our apprentices and we do the training. We also run a thing called Building Futures, which is a project-by-project basis to get people who have slipped between school and employment back into work. We have something like a 58% success rate. We've been running it for some 3 years now, and we've taken over 1,100 candidates through the system. Yes.
Good, thank you. It's a good question. I mean, many of us have encouraged apprenticeships, even in our own organisation. Yes, Stephen?
Do you encourage your apprentices to get City and Guild certificates, or do they come with you already with City and Guild certificates?
Depends on the apprenticeship and the training. If there is a City and Guilds that is appropriate to that particular apprenticeship, yes.
Right. One last question? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Phil.
Thank you.
I gather you have to rush off. You've got other appointments.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you. Thank you. Right. On then to item 5. This is the business plan, and Sharon is going to Sharon.
This business plan covers the first quarter of this year, covering the period April to the end of June. Generally, progress has been good against all the key priorities. I've rated one area as satisfactory, which is our strategic aim 3. That's because some of the key performance indicators that you'll find on page 14 haven't yet been set. Some of the performance indicators, targets, have to be verified by the Department of Education. So for instance, 3.1 and 3.2 are still haven't been identified. We're in the red on one indicator, which is 2.3, regarding smoking cessation. That's because we've had difficulty collecting all the data from the pharmacies that we work with, but we're trying to improve that, so we should have a better picture for quarter 2. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Thank you, Sharon. Yes, Stephen?
I have a question. I have a question on page 11, paragraph 26. Financial risk implications. There's an underspend of 406,000, and then it goes on to say mainly due to a lower than expected number of clients using older people and adult social care services. I sort of wonder why that is. I mean, is it because people don't want to use them, or is it because perhaps these people that are in need of the services are simply not aware of them, or maybe need to be made better aware of them? I wonder if you could answer that question.
Paragraph 27, yes, Chris?
Thank you, Chairman. The variation will be based on people who were in residential care, for example, and are no longer in residential care. So we profile the budget for the rest of the year, and tragically, it may be someone's passed away, costs are no longer incurred, so money then comes back into it. And because the numbers are so small, the budget fluctuates quite significantly.
Yes, Chairman, page 9, paragraph 10, the Healthy Business Circle. I see that there were 45 members up to the end of the first quarter. Could we just know a little bit more about that? Are they small businesses? Are they large businesses? How does it actually operate practically?
Yes, Neil knows.
Chairman, thank you. The invitation went out to all the businesses in the city. All the businesses, we got a list from CPAT, Economic Development of all businesses in the city. So the invitation to join the Healthy Business Circle, which came after the conference last year, went out to all those businesses. At the moment, we've got rather more of the larger businesses involved, because it's actually, to be fair, it's more difficult for a small business with only a few people in it to spare the time to actually attend the meetings and participate in that. So what we're looking to do is to try and to bring small businesses together, so perhaps one person would represent several small businesses on the circle, and that way we get the messages out. But it's not just the meetings, we obviously have an email list of the people on the circle, and when we get reports about good practice or things like that, we circulate information to the group. But certainly one of our targets this year is to increase the overall number of people in the business circle quite significantly.
Good. Stephen again?
Yeah, I just caught this one other thing, page 19, sort of at the bottom of the first set of figures. Commission Services Golden Lane Estate, a lot of complaints upheld. I mean, others as well, but why particularly?
And that's the Golden Lane Health for the Sport and Fitness Centre.
The reason that you get 9 complaints and 9 upheld is the kind of complaints that get made at the leisure centre are this locker's broken, or actually the shower curtain's not working like it was. And so generally people are correct about those complaints, but actually they're quite simple complaints to rectify, whereas the kind of adult social care complaints are often a lot more complex, and therefore the issues about whether they're right or wrong are different. But at the leisure centre,
so it's possible.
In my view, the fact that they're picking those things up and dealing with them quickly is quite a positive. We do monitor them, so if there was a serious complaint, such for example as a lifeguard not supervising the swimming session properly, we would pick that up in the monitoring, but this covers all the potential complaints.
Any more questions? Yes?
Just on the complaints theme, there's a phrase that went through my mind while Neil was speaking in terms of complaints as a gateway to improvement. And whereas some complaints obviously are going to be the kind of very nuts and bolts sort of things to do with lockers or whatever, others can have the potential to identify an issue within a department in terms of either things not performing as they should be, or they could inspire somebody to think of a better way, even though there's nothing wrong or nothing to apologise for, but it highlights a way to improve the quality of service. And I just wonder how many complaints can be looked at as a gateway to improvement sort of complaint, or whether there's some way of capturing those and just sort of highlighting how they've been used as an opportunity to improve performance.
We do an analysis of complaints at the end of each quarter, and if there are any learning lessons, they're identified and communicated to the teams. So we do look at complaints as an opportunity to look at how we deliver services and if there are any gaps.
Chairman, can I just also add to that? I think it's important that members are also aware of what the department's learned in terms of complaints. For example, within the context of children's services, and the inspection regime, we would be invited to evidence what it is we're learning from complaints. And when we do have that evidence base, and we'll be bringing that to the Safeguarding Subcommittee in November, but I think it would be helpful if we do bring some of those examples back here as well.
Any further points, questions on that one? Yes, Philip?
Yes, I've got one. 17, page 10. Waits just touched on apprentices. It says here the target is expected the same as last year. I was interested to know how many apprentices we catered for last year and where these apprentices are, or these apprenticeships are advertised. Thank you.
Anybody on apprenticeship?
Right, the target of apprenticeship places of 120 obviously is an ongoing target because we need to renew. It's not just about new apprentices, it's about actually renewing people who've had an apprenticeship in 1 year. We want to also get them to renew. So we're actually, the target last year was 80, so we're now increasing to 120, but we need to get the whole 120 because the 80 we can't just sit on our laurels with. In terms of the way we advertise our apprenticeship schemes, what we try and concentrate on is advertising them to businesses. So we do a number of leaflets, brochures, etc. But what we found, to be honest, is word of mouth is the most important advertising route that we have. And therefore, what we do is we encourage those companies that we work with in the city to speak to other companies recommending our apprenticeship scheme, and we have got a far greater number of additional apprentices through that route than we have through any formal advertising route.
Good. Satisfied? Yes? All right. Thank you very much then. On we move to item 7, Child Poverty Needs Assessment, page 33. I missed it. Oh, Chris, I missed one. Care Act Better Care Fund. Chris Cullen.
Thank you, Chairman. The report is to update members on where we are in implementing the Care Act 2014. You'll note in the report that provisions for the Act come into force in 2 stages. April next year, there are a number of provisions which are listed in paragraph 4, and then April 2016, where provisions in relation to finance the implementation of the new funding regime will come into effect. We have a Care Act implementation group that's overseeing this process. It is a complicated process. There are a number of work streams which the report sets out. Just to inform members that we are well placed in terms of being able to deliver across the majority of these at this moment in time, being able to evidence that. There are some risks. There are risks that don't just sit with us, but they sit regionally and nationally, particularly in relation to the finances and supporting the implementation of the Care Act and the potential for a funding gap between what's been set out in the Act and what may be required to fund it. There is lobbying taking place at the moment from a number of groups, including Director of Adult Social Services, London Councils, etc. One of the requests that's been put into the report is to seek support from members, a small group of members, who we would like to work with to brief, etc., on the work that we're doing. That is what we're suggesting is set out in paragraph 15. If there are any members that would be interested, then we would welcome that. The report also gives a very brief update on the implementation of the Better Care Fund. We previously submitted our plan back in April, along with everybody else in the country. However, all areas, CCGs and clinical commissioning groups and local authorities have to resubmit a new plan, and the deadline is next Friday. The Health and Wellbeing Board have to sign off that plan, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Dudley, as Chairman, is aware of that and will be signing that plan off for us next week. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions or points?
Mr. Chairman, page 27, paragraph 22, the potential financial implications are there. I think that this is something that is certainly a worry to me because of the what-if situation. That we are well aware of the growing problems, particularly with older people in the whole of the city area. That it is difficult to actually ascertain at this time just exactly how many more people are going to be affected, particularly by mental problems, particularly dementia and so on. To what extent is this taken into account? That not just based on grants and monies that finance actually have working and living in the city, but but what is going to be a growing number which is accepted throughout the country?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. Absolutely. We do profile as best we can in terms of projections around demographic and population change. It is well evidenced that we are having an ageing population. That by definition is also going to likely mean there's going to be an increase in demand on services, both health and social care. In a sense, in the context of the Care Act, whilst that is a risk in itself, and we identify that, there's a bigger risk, is that this does introduce a whole new group of people who will be entitled to provision that they haven't before, and that's self-funders. And so, because of the new thresholds, there will be people entitled that would never have even considered or thought that they would be entitled to any financial support, and that presents a significant risk. Again, from our perspective, I think, and Chamberlain's here, we've been discussing this at great length, we're working very hard on this. We've been using a number of modelling mechanisms, both regionally and nationally. As I've said before, this is very well evidenced in terms of nationally about a potential risk. For us in the city, I think we're well placed in terms of forecasting, but it'd be wrong of us to say right here now that we're absolutely sure about what's going to happen in the future. So very much the work that we're doing with this group, hopefully the support members, make sure that we're hopefully ahead of the pressure as it comes along.
Thank you. Anne?
Thank you, Chairman. Merely to say I would be interested in being one of the member
Thank you.
champions.
All right, any questions or comments on it? Right, then, so you see at the foot of page 23, we're to note the report and agree 3-member champions, just to meet with Chris periodically. And Virginia Rounding has phoned in an expression of interest. She'd like to do it, and Anne is offering. Have we another offer who would be interested to help with this? Yes, Professor. Would you? Yes. Answer. We can go up to 4. No, all right. 4. No, we've got our 4 then. All right. Is that noted? Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. Right. Now we do come to item 7. My word, this was a fascinating read, but how sad, here we are in this great and prosperous city. We've got really terrible levels of poverty among our families and children. It's very sad. Neil's going to talk to us about this. Thank you.
Chairman, thank you. Just a couple of practical points to point out. The next steps are actually on page 80 of the report. And I apologise, they're not actually in the agenda item itself. They're on page 80, so members know what the next steps are that officers will be taking. And also a correction that the chairman pointed out at a call over on page 61. The second quotation that starts "a lot of the men," that should read "a lot of the people in the Bengali families are men." Not "a lot of the men." Yes. Yes, somebody will be shot, don't worry. Just to say very briefly, the chairman's right in the sense that it does make quite difficult reading some of this, but I would like to reassure members that we are in the city talking about low numbers. We are talking about low numbers of people, but that doesn't mean it's not a significant problem and not something we shouldn't be tackling. The other point I would make, I think, is that you'll note that we feel that we know quite well the families in the east of the city, in the Mansell Street and the Middlesex Street estates. We're less certain about the north of the city, and therefore any intelligence that members have in terms of individuals who may have slipped through the net that we're not aware of on the Barbican or Golden Lane estates, obviously we'd be very happy to actually know of that, because obviously members are often one of our great sources of local information about people, and obviously we wouldn't necessarily start to interfere particularly with that people's lives, but we could offer things to people. So if you had any intelligence around that, we'd be very happy to hear it. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Yes, Elizabeth?
Chairman, in the report, the word key informants is mentioned so many times. Could you tell us what that is, please? Thank you.
The key informants were a number of service providers, so they would be people like our own officers who were actually social workers, people like that, but they would also be providers from other services such as the City Gateway youth workers or the Fusion sports workers or any of our people that work with people in circumstances like that on a day-to-day basis.
Anne?
I mean, I think we should thank the people for this report, for an excellent report. And there's quite a lot of attention throughout it on the importance of education, including adult education. And if we turn to page 43, again, it's mentioned at the top of there in the summary about the importance of adult learning courses. And I'd just like to suggest that at the bottom of page 43, where we have conclusions and recommendations, that under bullet point 5, which reads, investigate what can be done to improve uptake of ESOL locally, it says ESOL and other adult education courses. Because I do think it is a really key part.
Other things that can be done, yes, yes, and other, yeah. Yes, John?
Thank you, Chairman. As most members will know, I live on Manchester Street along with Dennis Regis, so we're very, very familiar with what is going on. I made a large number of points here which I won't bore you with, but assuming we go ahead and form an officers' working group, I would welcome the opportunity to perhaps talk to them about some of the detail in the report. But most importantly, Chairman, if I might say, they're short of winning the lottery. There are only two really successful ways out of poverty. That's education, as been rightly pointed out, and employment. And the report points out that we have unemployment and underemployment, and perhaps employment in the sort of work that does not bring in the money that families need. And on the doorstep of that, we have the city. Now, in almost every planning commission that goes through planning, there is written a paragraph that says, and we, the developer, blah, 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 will give opportunities, blah, blah, blah. And nothing happens. With all of the new developments that are now happening around Portsoken, my deputy Henry Jones and myself have taken a very proactive attitude. We have now had a number of meetings with prospective employers. Every single one of them has been positive to employing local people. And there's a fun day tomorrow on Mansion Street, which is community driven, so the people have got the money for the fun day together. And Motel One, who are opening a hotel on the Minories in November, are coming and recruiting. That was driven primarily, and I'm sure the officers won't mind saying it, by the council. I am therefore disappointed that in the next steps on page 80, which are indeed, just to repeat what's on page 43, there is no reference there to the city working to get these job opportunities in front of the local people. And can I add, we are not just talking about people who haven't got a job. We're talking about people who now currently may be employed, but can get better job opportunities, or just to take the hour's bus journey out of their day will make a considerable improvement to their lives. That's another hour mums can spend with their children. We're talking about child poverty here. So I would request that we can look again at the next steps of the recommendations and put something very, very proactive in about getting employment for our people within the city. Chairman.
Very good contribution. Thank you. Do you want to
Just briefly say that we're very happy to take that additional point on. We won't need to wait for 6 months. We'll take the point on now. And as you know from the report, it says we will come back to this committee in 6 months' time to say the progress we've made, and we will include, therefore, the progress we've made on the point that Councillor Fletcher has made, and they include that in the actions.
But I do think more formally, this committee should send a resolution to planning to ask that where they put that clause in, who follows it up? Are you all in agreement? Yes. So that's proposed from the chair, it doesn't need a seconder, and it goes into the minutes, and we send a note to planning and say, we understand you get people building new hotels and all the rest of it to say we'll supply X jobs. What offers are then made to young people or any other people for that matter in the city? So we'll do that. Sorry, did you wish to speak? Oh, Kathy, yes?
Thank you. So as a related point, it would also be worth checking that the work-related learning opportunities that EDO, Economic Development Office, works on are extended to our residents. Almost first and foremost. I mean, I imagine they are included in there.
They are. I mean, where John suggests we add another point about job opportunities, why we? Can we incorporate a sentence about that now, mentioning the planning permissions that are given, many of them because they say they're going to provide jobs, and also EDO, what they're doing about committee. Sorry, something.
Well, absolutely right to send the question on, but we need to get the answer back. So when they do answer, you need to come back to us and give it to the committee.
Well,
we don't want to leave it lost.
It's in the form of a resolution for them to report to.
Chairman, I'd just like to say exactly what John said. All the developments round by us, we actually meet them to try and get jobs opportunities, and obviously any other benefits for the Residents Association. But sometimes it doesn't go very far. We're actually dealing with members clubs, with hotels, with office blocks, with residential. We're constantly trying to get work opportunities for our residents. Thank you, Chairman.
Very good. Well done. Any other comments or thoughts? Any questions? No? Thank you very much. Right, now, number 8 then, safeguarding policy, raising awareness, and this is Chris then, I think. Page 85.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a report to update members on the Notice to Signs campaign. It's a campaign to raise awareness of safeguarding of children and adults in the city, both for staff, Corporation of London, but also for residents. So in that respect, it's been a 2-stage campaign, and we're just coming to the end of the first stage, which has been to raise awareness with the staff across the corporation. This is a corporate safeguarding risk, and this is a key strategy in addressing that issue. You'll see in the report the work that's gone in today in terms of raising awareness of staff with a number of briefing sessions, both here with staff here in the Guildhall, in housing, but also in Forest, Hampstead Heath, etc. It's been very well received. Each department has their own champion lead, and when the campaign's finished, that group of champions will continue to work together so that this maintains momentum and isn't just seen as a standalone campaign that is time limited. In October, at the end of September, October, we'll be launching the campaign with residents, and that will involve staff going out, meeting with residents, talking about safeguarding. You'll also note that the campaign has used a range of different methods to raise awareness, including social media, innovative, and now we've had over 1,000 views on the Twitter account, which is extremely positive. We have posters and we have badges, and there's no expense spared. There are badges as you leave today. If you're interested in picking up a badge to support the campaign, we would welcome that. Members of the Safeguarding Subcommittee have already received a report about the campaign and have endorsed it and supported it. Deputy Chairman, who's the Chairman of the Safeguarding Subcommittee, has fully supported this, and again, we hope members do support the work that we're doing in this area. Thank you.
Any questions or comments on that? Good, thank you very much. Right, we move on then to questions. Are there any questions? Yes, oh yes, do. Are you going to announce it? Yeah, there's a very serious question actually, that the Spitalfields Health Centre is really under threat. I don't know if people have quite realised this, but the funding's been changed by something to do with the NHS funding, and Drug was at a meeting last night where this was discussed. Can you just report on it? Yeah, all right then, yeah.
Chairman, thank you. Members remember we reported on this 2 months ago, not at the last meeting, the meeting before, to say that actually there was a new funding formula, and actually there were concerns expressed by a number of GP practices across in North East London, and we said that we would come back to you after the health scrutiny meeting that across North East London had looked at that. Now that health scrutiny meeting took place last night. NHS England didn't appear. However, they did produce an updated document which said that they were offering all the most seriously affected practices. By most seriously affected, they mean practices who were down to lose more than £3 per patient. They gave us a form in terms of how that these practices could claim. The practices who attended last night were not happy with this offer. They did not feel it was enough, and they told the members that there were still some practices that were still under threat. The chair, there is a chair because it's in North East London. The chair of the health scrutiny panel undertook to write to NHS England to express our concerns around this. The difficulty we have is that we know that the Neiman practice is not particularly adversely affected. We know that the Portsoken Health and Community Centre is not adversely affected. Spitalfields practice we believe is affected, but actually it's not in the public domain which individual practice is, unless an individual practice wishes to declare that. Now, Jubilee Street practice have put, if you like, put their head over the parapet. They have said our practice is particularly affected and they have made a campaign about it. But doctors' GP practices are private businesses, and therefore it's not like cuts that might happen in a local authority where we say this is the amount that's being cut, this is what we've got left, and people can see openly what's happening. In the GP practice, they're private businesses, so people can't see as clearly what is happening. So although we believe there is still some degree of uncertainty, we cannot say for certain to you as members that yes, this practice is under definite threat of closure because the finances just don't add up. So therefore we are continuing to press NHS England to actually improve the offer that they're making to the practices, and we are asking the practices themselves through their clinical commissioning groups if they would actually reveal the information to us, even if it's in an anonymised way, so that we can be more clear what the precise impact is, because it is very difficult for us to campaign too strongly when we haven't got the full facts on which to go. So that's the position we're in. It is an ongoing situation, and I'm happy to come back, Chairman, to future meetings to update members on how it's progressing.
Yes, Henry.
Thank you, Chairman. Quite disappointed. I brought this to the table some time ago. My own GP in the Barkentine raised it with me on the patient forum, and I'm aware of a number of practices, possibly Stills Lane, the Jubilee Centre, but Spitalfields will have a massive effect on all the residents on Middlesex Street, Mansell Street. We're lobbying very hard. I know Drew's helping, and I'm sure Neil will. We've got the MP, Mark Field, coming down to Mansell Street. John's arranged at a residents' meeting to actually discuss this with us and take this forward. So we're very concerned, and with the population growth around Aldgate East area, Chairman, you know yourself, I mean, there's residential blocks going out there, there's 10 or 12 blocks, so it's very, very important for us to actually campaign and lobby for these surgeries. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Drew.
Yeah. I was just going to suggest maybe we should have a letter from this committee to NHS England as well as the in the North East London.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, would it not help if the points you've made were incorporated in a letter from me?
Chairman, I'm happy to draft something for you to sign.
Yes. Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I mean, Dr. Jones makes a very interesting point. I don't know if any of you ever go across to the Spitalfields markets or Petticoat Lane on the Sunday, but I'm actually on a new complex now in Oldcastle Street, and I should think there are going to be 400 or 500 new flats. And I mean, it doesn't matter what type of people they are, they'll all need doctors and medical help. And are NHS England looking at any forecasts about this huge increase in population?
Chairman, just to reassure you, that is a slightly different issue in that as population changes, NHS England does grant more money to existing GP surgeries than others based on their catchment area. So if more people come in, this funding formula doesn't affect more money is offered per patient. The issue is how much money per patient is available.
All right. So we'll draft a letter and try and get some more information. Anybody else on that one? It is quite serious. So that came under questions. Any other questions? Just under urgent items, I'm sorry my diary's in my case, but 2 or 3 things. The Deputy Chairman and myself have been this morning for an hour to tour and meet with the staff up at Fusion. And they really are doing a marvellous job. Everything's improving. They're getting extra people. They're giving more advice to people who are sick. The newish thing, which I hadn't known much about, is referrals from GPs. If people go to their GP and the GP feels they should do a bit of exercise or walk more, they can actually be referred there, talk with an expert and do a bit more about it. So it's happy to know that Fusion, I think, doing a super job. Probably more people can go another time. And then 2 dates, if somebody can look for the dates, there's a thing called Silver Sunday, which is to help elderly people have a brighter day, just one Sunday a year, if not more. I think that's October 3rd or 5th. Does anybody know anything? 5th of October, and that is at Fusion. That's what's brought it to mind. So from 12 o'clock onwards, if anybody wants to call in and see what they're doing and meet some of the clients. And the other thing, a Saturday or two later, there is a resident celebration here in Guildhall from the people on all our estates, and that's October 18th. Okay, just 3 announcements for your diaries. Thank you very much. Right, now we come to
under item 10.
Yes, this is the school. Yeah, the town has come again under urgent business to appoint a governor from this committee to the Sir John Cass Foundation School. Deputy Jones is doing the job exceedingly well. I simply propose from the chair he carries on. Is that it? Yeah. Thank you very much. Still, let me write and tell them. Now we come to exclusion of the public.